The Sujimoto 042 saga. Anatomy of a Nigerian power play. September 5th, 2025. A news alert flashes across Nigeria. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, has declared one of the country's most visible businessmen wanted. His name, Sujimoto, better known as Sujimoto, the Caesar of Nigerian luxury real estate. The charges: alleged money laundering and diversion of public funds. The internet ignites. Hours later, a video drops. It's Sujimoto himself, visibly emotional. He looks directly into the camera.
I'm not a thief and I'm not a fugitive. This is a contract between my company and the Enugu state government. They destroyed my company.
The Enugu state government fires back, calling his performance theatrics and crocodile tears. This is a story of how a visionary project to build 22 state-of-the-art schools collapsed into a multi-billion naira scandal. It's a story of ambition, accusation, and a system on trial. At the center of it all, nearly 6 billion naira of public money allegedly has vanished. To understand how we got here, we have to go back. July 2nd, 2024. The ink is still fresh on an 11.4 billion naira contract. Sujimoto Luxury Construction, a brand synonymous with opulent Lagos high-rises, is tasked by the Enugu state government to build 22 smart green schools. The timeline is aggressive, just 6 months. This is a flagship project for Governor Peter Mba's administration. To fast-track the work, the government does something unusual for a contract this size. They pay a mobilization fee of 5.7 billion naira, exactly 50% of the total value upfront. In the world of public contracts, this is a massive gamble. The state was essentially fronting all the initial risk, betting on Sujimoto's reputation to deliver. It was a bet they would come to regret. Because, according to the government, almost as soon as the money hit his account, Sujimoto disappeared. The government claims their contractor vanished into thin air. Calls went unanswered. Messages were ignored. Invitations to mandatory project briefings were declined. By May 2025, nearly a year after the contract was signed, patience had run out. A team from the Enugu Ministry of Works, accompanied by EFCC investigators, visited all 22 sites. What they found was damning. The official report: minimal to no significant work done. Most sites were abandoned at the foundation stage. The government released photos showing deserted construction pits and skeletal concrete work. They alleged the work that was done was shoddy, handled by inexperienced workers and quack engineers. But the government's most explosive claim, the one that turns this from a simple contract dispute into a criminal case, is hidden in the banking details. They call it premeditated fraud. Here's how it allegedly worked. To secure the contract, Sujimoto presented a performance bond from Jay's Bank. This is standard procedure. It's an insurance policy. If the contractor fails, the government can claim its money back from the bank. But the government alleges a bait and switch. While Jay's Bank bond was on file, the 5.7 billion naira payment was directed into a completely different account at Zenith Bank. By doing this, the government argues Sujimoto cleverly shielded Jay's Bank from any liability. The security was tied to one account, but the cash was in another. When the project failed, the state had no way to enforce the bond and claw back the public's money. To the state of Enugu, this wasn't a mistake. It was the masterstroke of a meticulously planned heist. But Sujimoto has a very different story. In his public statements, Sujimoto paints himself not as a fraudster, but as a patriot crushed by Nigeria's brutal economic realities. He claims the project was ambushed by hyperinflation. When the contract was signed, a bag of cement was 7,000 naira. By the time his teams were on ground, it was 10,000 naira. He also cites crippling insecurity. His staff, he alleged, were shot at while working in some of the rural sites. But his most intriguing defense is that the school project was never the real prize. He claims the governor had a greater vision to build a new city to erect Nigeria's tallest building. The schools, he alleges, he was told was a loss leader. The governor supposedly told him, you would make money from the schools, but you would make money from the other projects. This narrative attempts to reframe the entire affair. It wasn't a simple contract breach. It was the collapse of a larger unwritten understanding. When that grand vision faded, the school project became financially impossible. Instead of engaging the EFCC, he took his case to the court of public opinion, framing himself as a well-meaning entrepreneur targeted by the state, a familiar narrative in Nigeria. Two sides, two irreconcilable stories, but this dispute reveals something far more troubling than a single failed contract. It exposes the fault lines in Nigeria's entire system of public-private engagement. The first institution on trial is EFCC itself. For years, critics have argued the anti-graft agency is often used not to fight corruption, but as a high-stakes debt collector for politically powerful people. Nigeria's civil courts are notoriously slow. It can take years to resolve a contract dispute. But petitioning the EFCC brings immediate, overwhelming pressure. They can freeze accounts, seize assets, and declare you a wanted fugitive. By framing this as fraud, the Enugu government bypassed the slow lane of the civil litigation and went straight for the nuclear option. It's a tactic that blurs the line between a business disagreement and a criminal act, creating massive uncertainty for any company daring to do business with the state. The uncertainty has a chilling effect on the economy. Nigeria desperately needs private investment to bridge its colossal infrastructure deficit, estimated in the $1 trillion. Public-private partnerships, or PPPs, are touted as the solution. But high-profile, toxic disputes like this send a clear warning to investors. Your contract is only as good as your relationship with the governor. If that's so, you could lose everything. The Sujimoto saga is a case study in PPP failure. A lack of transparent bidding, poor risk management like the 50% upfront payment, and the complete breakdown of dispute resolution. Ultimately, this is a story about corruption, or at the very best, a system ripe for it. Nigeria loses an estimated $18 billion every year to corruption in public procurement. Whether this was a case of a contractor's greed or a government incompetence, it's a symptom of a system where transparency is optional and accountability is rare. So with the battle lines drawn and reputations on the line, how does a story like this end in Nigeria? If history is any guide, it won't end in a dramatic courtroom conviction. It will likely fade away. Here's the probable playbook. First, judicial delay. Sujimoto's lawyer will file motions, challenge jurisdiction, and tie the case up in procedural knots for years. Second, political diplomacy. Quiet calls will be made. Handshakes will happen in private lounges in Abuja. A deal will be struck far from the public eye, where powerful interests find a middle ground that serves them, but not necessarily justice. Finally, a settlement without accountability. Sujimoto might agree to refund a portion of the money. A press release will be issued. New photo ops might even be staged. But the one thing that almost certainly won't happen, the 22 smart green schools will not be built by him. The children of Enugu, the intended beneficiaries of this grand project, are the ultimate losers. Their schools remain a mirage, sacrificed in a battle between a contractor and the state. The Sujimoto Enugu affair is more than a scandal. It's a mirror reflecting the deep systemic challenges that continue to hold Nigeria back. It shows a world where contracts can be fluid, where the line between civil and criminal is dangerously thin, and where public projects too often become private battlegrounds. In the end, it's a cautionary tale for anyone looking to build in Nigeria. The biggest risk aren't in the soil, but in the system itself. Well, I know you love this video. I have many more on YouTube at Popcentral TV, or Check out, a quick article or Instagram carousel, for fast breakdown. You can go deeper with our interactive web analysis or download full research PDFs at www.popcentraltv.com. I'm Olayinka Obibi, bringing you Newsense every day on Popcentral TV, DStv 189. Follow us everywhere: TikTok, Instagram, and X. Ask me to explain anything. Stay sharp.
Just so you know, this is for information only and not advice. Some details or policies might have changed by the time you're watching this.